All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Gonzo the Judge Sports Talk, Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Return to the Gonzo the Judge Sports Talk. I'm Gonzo. He's the sports judge. How's it going, Judge?
What's going on, Gonzo? We have reunited. Once again, we have come together, my brother, to do a show. It's great to be back. It's great to see this show being revived. I am glad to be here tonight with you, man. It's gonna be fun. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're back, and this time I think we're here to stay, Gonzo.
There we go. Oh, our buddy Glenn says, "Welcome back, Judge. Hello, Gonzo. How's it going, Glenn?" Just talked to Glenn a little bit a while ago.
Glenn, what's going on, man? Glenn has been a loyal viewer.
Yeah, well, he's been doing some shows with me on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Nice. That's good. Who wouldn't want to do a show with you? It's always fun.
Yeah, and Glenn knows Glenn is in good with the Pacers and the Fever here in Indiana, and then he's also a big NASCAR guy. And that I watch some NASCAR, but I don't know as much about it as he does. So he's a good guy to have around because he had some stuff to the show that's a little different than what maybe I know or like my dad or just different perspectives on some things. So it's always nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not big on NASCAR or auto racing. But I will say this, though. I do watch Daytona 500 every year. It's a traditional race. It's something my dad and I did together. That was bonding time for us. Every year, we would make an effort to watch that race, that incredible race, and it was always fun. But I didn't sit through the entire race because I found that to be very boring. I would start watching when it gets down to 15 laps. In the final laps, that's when it becomes intense. That's when it would get exciting, and you'll see a lot of crashes, 8-car pileups, and everything. Man, that was some drama right there. That's when you really want to watch. I mean, I guess that's when a casual fan decide to watch NASCAR when it gets down to the final laps or so.
Yeah, I like watching it. My problem is a lot of times on Sundays I'm busy and sometimes I'll forget that the race is on because I'll get busy doing something with the wrestling or like right now I watch a lot of baseball. So if the Reds are on, a lot of times I'll watch the Reds before I watch the race.
Right. I hear
Yeah,
you.
Glenn
It's a
was
lot
at
of
Daytona.
baseball.
Glenn was at Daytona back in February, so and he was just at the race over the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Uh, Here in
That must have
Indianapolis,
been
we
a
had the
cool
big
experience to
brickyard.
actually be there. That must be a cool experience. Taking in a race, that's got to be a lot of fun. I would think.
Buddy
Hey,
Jerry says go.
hey,
Buddy
I'm
Jerry
telling
says
you.
go Cubs. Now come on, Jeremy. You know I'm not going to say go Cubs, but
Hey, but you
I
know
know
what?
you're going to say
Hey,
go Cubs.
Cubs, they're on the roll right now. They're on the
I know
roll.
they are, and
And Cody Bellinger, man,
they're on a
he's
roll. So I can't.
he has gone absolutely crazy. Cody
They're
Bellinger
on a
has
roll, but
bounced back.
I can't give the Cubs too much credit, man. I'm a Reds fan. And
Gotcha. Yeah, they're in the NL Central. Of course, you can't give them a lot of credit. I mean, wouldn't that be breaking the code, the red code?
and Jeremy knows I'm a big Red fan. He's a big Cubs fan. So
Man, the Cubs, they look really, really good. They look really,
they've been
really
playing some
good.
good. Seriously, they've been playing good baseball since the All-Star break.
They have been playing good baseball.
Reds have been struggling a little bit since the All-Star break.
And the Cubs have put it all together, it seems. Now, I guess the big question is it sustainable? Because we all know what happens when October arrives, right? Some of these teams that's hot right now, they cool off and they disappear. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, those teams are nowhere in sight.
Yes, that can happen. I mean, and
That's what happens in baseball.
I mean, well, with the Reds, the Reds got off to a slow start. Reds got off to a slow start the first month of the season. Then they caught fire, and went on that 12-game winning streak and really caught fire. Then came back from the All-Star break, and we've been hitting like 228 since the All-Star break. We haven't been hitting the ball like we was first half of the season, so we've kind of struggled. I mean, we're still right there. I know we fell behind. I'm not sure if the Cubs won tonight. They were playing the White Sox. If they won, I know we fell a little bit farther behind the Cubs because we got beat by the Guardians tonight because we didn't couldn't hit the ball. Got beat, I think 3-0. Gave up a couple runs in the first inning, and then after that, just couldn't do nothing tonight. Our manager kills me sometimes. He changed our whole batting lineup because we're facing a left-handed pitcher. So let's take out our leadoff batter, Friedel. We'd take him out of the lineup, who's our best outfielder, and he's been a good leadoff batter. Let's take him out. And then Will Benson, who's been hitting almost 300 over the last couple months. Let's take him out because he's a lefty and we're facing a left-handed pitcher. He took out like 3 or 4 of our normal starters tonight, all because of a pitching matchup. And then you wonder why you're not getting no offense, especially when you're taking out guys that are been some of your hot guys. Like Will Benson's been one of our hottest hitters.
Yeah, but David Bell does things that leave you wondering what the hell just happened. Like what are you doing, bro? He makes moves like that. He makes those WTF moves. And I know for most Reds fans, that has to be pretty annoying because we got a guy here in LA. His name is Dave Roberts. And I tell you, it frustrates the hell out of me being a Dodger fan that this guy does not know how to manage past the 5th inning. He does not know how to manage his bullpen, never uses the right arms out of the bullpen. So you guys are in a similar situation with David Bell as your manager because this guy takes his hot hitters out of the game at a time when they're needed. I mean, that's puzzling. Why are you making those type of decisions? I just don't
Here's my problem with Bill. He's all about analytics, all about the data. It's all matchups. It's nothing like he never goes with his gut or how the flow of the game's going.
That's Dave Roberts. Most of these managers nowadays are.
Most of the managers are puppets nowadays.
They are. But you know what they need to do? And here's my advice to all the managers out there. Take your damn computers and toss it in the Pacific Ocean and open your 3-ring binder and rip all the papers into pieces. Just tear them into pieces and toss it out and stop relying so much on analytics. But all analytics is, it's a pretty word, right? Analytics. I can repeat it. Analytics. It's a sexy word. But all it really is, to break it down into smaller terms, is information. That's all it is. It's information on a player.
It should be used as a tool, not as the be all. And that's the problem.
And a lot of these managers are using it to decide the outcome of a game. I just find it very silly.
And the bad thing is, the Reds, because of the first half they had, they decided it was a good idea to let's go ahead and sign David Bell to a 3-year extension. It's like,
I was just about to get to that.
I know.
I was just
I don't know, about a month ago, I was on the afternoon show and a couple other shows, and they were talking about who was the manager of the year for Major League Baseball. And a couple people brought up David Bell's name because of how the Reds were. And I said, I said, nope, I can't jump on that. I said, to me, the manager of the year is either the Baltimore Orioles manager, which I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, or Bruce Bochy with the Texas Rangers because of their big turnaround. I said, I can't jump on the David Bell train because I've seen it too many times where you think things are starting to go good and then he finds a way to mess it all up. So I said, I'm not jumping on that train until we see how the rest of the season goes. And then a week later, they give him an extension. I'm like, you shouldn't have gave him an extension yet. But they're not out of it. Jeremy said that the Cubs lost tonight, so that means the Reds and Cubs are about tied there for second division. I think they're like a half game.
It's a tight
They're
race.
like a half game or a game back from the wild card. Oh yeah, Major League Baseball, man, the playoff race, especially in the National League, is really tightening up.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be good here down the stretch. Fasten your seatbelts, everyone, because it's gonna be a wild ride in the month of September and going into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Going to be fun.
The month of September, that's those are the dog days right there.
And you got some new teams that are up there that are in contention, which is always nice. I mean, because like Baltimore having a good year, Rangers are having a good year. It's been a while since they've been up there. The Marlins have been playing some good baseball here, especially as of late.
It seems like all the right. It seems like all the substandard teams are the teams that used to be substandard are the teams that's finally taking over baseball. It just feels that way, right? You used to seeing these teams at rock bottom. They're inferior. They don't win a lot of games. And then all of a sudden, 2023 rolls around. You flip the calendar to 2023, and you got the Orioles. You got the Miami. I was about to say the Florida Marlins, but you got the Miami Marlins, and you got teams like that's playing 500 baseball. It's fantastic. While you got teams like the Mets and the Yankees falling apart at the worst possible time, and the New York media is going absolutely nuts because they don't know what to do with themselves, as well as the fans. They don't know what to do with themselves because both teams stink so bad right now that, it's just polluting the air in New York. And that's all everyone's talking about, how terrible both baseball teams have been in the state of New York, which puts them in a terrible state as well.
Hey, Yankees have been good for a long time, so
they spent so much damn money and they can't win games. That has to be sickening to your stomach if you're a Mets fan. If you're a Mets fan, that makes you not want to go to the ballpark. I'm not going to Citi Field to watch that terrible product that's out there on the field right now. And, I was hearing stories about people saying that they should have moved on from Pete Alonso, that they should have probably traded him, got rid of one of those guys, because it's obvious that you got to break up the core. You got to break up the core in New York and kind of start over. Maybe you get rid of Buck Showalter. Maybe you fire him.
I think a good thing that the Mets done was trading away Scherzer and the pitchers, getting out of that,
They had an absolute fire sale.
Yeah, and picking up some prospects out of that way. I think that was a smart move by them. At least, hey, it didn't work out like you thought. Let's get what we can from it, and
they got
then go
some
from
building
there.
blocks. Let's just say they got some building blocks for the foreseeable future. And they got some, top prospects in return for guys like Max Scherzer and, of course, Justin Verlander, who I heard was a cancer in the clubhouse. From my understanding, he was a complainer, and I guess one of the Mets players called him out publicly and said all he did was complain. There's two sides to every story. I don't know. Maybe he was just frustrated with his current situation in New York, because look, it's never fun to lose. It sucks to lose. It's horrible to lose. And if you're not one of those players that's used to losing, it could be a tough adjustment for you, to be a part of a team that loses all the time. But the crazy thing to me, Gonzo, when you talk about the Mets, this is a team a year ago that won 100 plus games.
Oh yeah.
How do you lose so many games the following year? It's as if this team took a step back. This team is at its worst when a year ago this team was one of the best teams in baseball until they got embarrassed in October, losing to a Padres team, an upstart Padres team that barely made it to the playoffs, and everyone was making fun of the Mets. Remember, everyone was saying how they performed a choke job, that they didn't live up to the hype, that this was a very overrated team after they vomited all over themselves and made themselves look silly on national TV, getting swept, I believe. Didn't they get swept by the Padres in that series? I mean, it was absolute garbage. It was an awful display of baseball by the New York Mets. I believe they got swept in that series.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what, real quick before we move on to some other stuff, but one thing about baseball that I do like, I like the rule changes that they made this year. It's made the game, I think, a better product to watch, a more exciting product to watch. You're seeing more runs scored, start seeing more stolen bases. I think we're seeing even more bunts. Since they've done away with the shift, I like the pitch clock. I think that's worked out real well. Cuts down on some just the dead time in the game. I like the pace of the game, but I think this year we're seeing a more exciting product put out by Major League Baseball, and I think it's going to even get better as everybody keeps getting more used to the changes. And I think they're going to make some more tweaks. Like I think there's going to be even some more rules on the shift where right now you can't go past second, but I think they're going to change that where you can't even go over that far. I think you're going to end up seeing that changed a little bit. But
yeah,
what are your thoughts on the rule changes? I think it's helped baseball, and I think it's a more exciting product to watch.
At first, I wasn't a fan of these rule changes, and I'm a person, Gonzo, that even though change can be good and not necessarily bad, I'm not one of those who adapt to change real easy. And I know change is not always a bad thing, as I just said moments ago. At first, I didn't know how I felt about the league introducing a pitch clock. Some of these rules that they implemented, I thought it was kind of, taken away from the game of baseball. I thought it was ruining the game of baseball, some of these rule changes. And I just didn't like it because for so long, this is how we come to know baseball. without these, you know, nonsensical rules that was put into place. Now, has it been beneficial? Absolutely. Has it uh, sped up the game? Sure, it has. And if you want to attract this younger generation, which is baseball's ultimate goal, it seems, then yes, you're going to have to make some changes. And one of those changes was the pitch clock, because what it does is speeds up the game. It makes the game faster. Now, the only issue I have with it is that I don't get a game sometimes until 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes the game ends at 9:30, or it ends a little earlier than expected. And I'm sitting there, okay, this is it. There's no more baseball for the night. So that's the only issue I have with it. But now baseball doesn't feel like one of those uh, sports that takes forever, because sometimes, man, a baseball game can really drag on. It can drag on, and now with the pitch clock, you got some more organization. The games are not so long. Uh, you don't have pitchers standing on the mound too long, holding on to the ball, trying to figure out what they're going to throw next, or they're going back and forth communicating with the catcher. You don't see all of that anymore. It's a different game. So the rule changes are not that bad, but at first everyone was, in an uproar about it. They were upset about it, but now I think everyone seems a bit content and not so much discontent about these rule changes, because now they're seeing how it has had a more positive effect on the game of baseball.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like it. It seems like we're not just seeing all home runs and strikeouts anymore. Seeing a little bit more base hits, a little more small ball. I like that stolen bases are up as well. So no, overall, I like it. I think playoffs are going to be real interesting this year. Uh, and like I said, the playoff race, especially in the National League, is really heating up. So it's going to be a fun I think a fun September and October for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun postseason. I can't wait to see what the Dodgers do now. As you know, I'm always prepared for a letdown. Just to let you know, I'm always prepared for the Dodgers to find a way to screw it all up, which they usually do. In October, October hasn't been kind to them. They still haven't found a way to exercise their demons. Um, and it's been a lot of dark days in October for the Dodgers in the past, and you know that too. It's been bleak for the Dodgers, and their bleakest days haven't come yet. Yes, the month of September and the month of August is usually when the Dodgers kick ass. And then when you flip the calendar to October, that's when the Dodgers, man, they just disappear. It's
I'm
like
just
it's
hoping.
like that magic got stolen from them or something.
I'm just hoping I'm just hoping that my team, the Reds, can uh, be playing a game in October this year. It's been a while. Uh,
Yeah,
Mike Hughes said.
yep. It's been a
Mike Hughes
while for
said.
the Reds.
Mike
Yep.
Hughes said. How did we lose to the White Sox? Yeah, Mike, I feel your pain because the Reds lost to Cleveland tonight. So feel your pain on that. Then he said,
Well, the Yankees were
four
pretty
World Series
lackluster against the White
in the
Sox
last
too.
8 years. What is bleak about that? Must be nice.
I'm
He's
telling
talking
you,
about the Dodgers there.
hey, when you don't finish the job, then everything else goes out the window. It to me, it's an epic failure if you don't cash in. You got a team that talented. I mean, that's a terrible way to waste that talent. To not be able to win a World Series title. And the expectations have always soared high for the Dodgers, particularly when you have guys like Mookie Betts. You have Freddie Freeman, who's going absolutely insane right now. Freddie Freeman, you look at his numbers. Um,
Oh yeah,
wow, the dude is out of this world right now. He's out of this world. He's just on a tear.
We were talking
But
about that. I was talking about that earlier with Mike Hughes on the afternoon show. We
yep.
mentioned Freddie Freeman as one of the MVP runners, front runners, along with Acuna. I think it was Acuna we were talking about from the Braves. But I mean,
Oh, Acuna, man, he sent one out today. I was watching that game earlier against the Yankees, a struggling ball club, by the way. Acuna, man, he gave them, I believe, a 4-0 lead.
Braves are going to be a tough out.
Oh yeah, the Braves right about now, from the looks of everything, they look like a team that cannot be beaten.
They're going to be a tough out.
That's how consistently well they have played lately during this stretch. They have looked impeccable. Like they are just the team that you don't want to face right now. I mean, if the playoffs were to start today, you wouldn't want to face this Braves team because this Braves team is just awesome. They're an exciting bunch. Um, their pitching is pretty solid. You're getting production out of Ronald Acuna Jr., who's having a fantastic year. It's nice to see. To me, he's one of the brightest stars in the league. And I said a few years back, he's what baseball need. They need a superstar like a Ronald Acuna Jr. Because he brings that excitement to the game of baseball. And he's enjoyable to watch, like the rest of this Braves team. But yeah, you're right. The Braves are going to definitely be a tough out. They're not an easy team to beat, and they will pose a threat in the NL.
Yeah, they're looking like the cream of the crop right now in the National League.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad prediction to say they can go all the way and win the World Series.
Well, they won a couple. When they went to the World Series a couple years ago, they didn't even have Acuna. You know what I mean? That's what was crazy. That's was because he got hurt,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah.
kind of that's when they started taking off, and then now he's back, and he's
Yeah, he suffered that devastating injury. Yeah, that kept him out all season. That was a huge blow, and they still managed to go deep into October and get to the World Series, and they won the whole thing. But you had guys like Freddie Freeman, you had guys like Swanson, you had guys delivering. Swanson I know is with the Cubs now, but still, you had those guys. They were producing. They were, um, doing everything necessary to help their team uh, clinch that World Series title that Braves fans had been longing for a very long time. That was their first championship since 1995.
yep, oh yeah, and they're looking like they might be on their way to another one this year. But the Rangers aren't going to be a tough out of the American League either. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. But right now, I would have to agree with you. Right now, I'd have to say the Braves are probably the favorite, at least, just the way they've been playing consistently.
Right, right. Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
are
know
the
you're. I
favorite.
know you're a big NBA guy. So let me get your thoughts here on James Harden.
Oh God, I talked
Well,
about him
he
last
opted,
night.
he opted into his contract or opted into that max extension with the 76ers only to then demand a trade. And then now he was at a basketball camp, said Daryl Morey as a liar and that he'll never be a part of another organization that he's a part of again. And this comes out like a day after the Sixers basically said they're taking him off the trade market and that they're going to keep him because they ain't been able to find a deal that they like. Um, to me, man, it's just getting old with Harden. It seems like dude's never happy. He's always crying about something. I mean, him and Moore used to be best friends, and now he's doing this. But even in Houston, when he there toward the end of the time in Houston, what did he do? He showed up out of shape, overweight, out of shape because he wanted out of there. Gets sent to the Nets, then didn't like it there. kind of forced his way out of there, got over to the 76ers and reunited with Morey. And then now he wants out of the 76ers, wants to go to the Clippers, which I don't even know why the Clippers would want him. But don't pairing him and Kawhi and Paul George together, to me, don't make no sense. You got let's add another guy that has trouble staying healthy. That's what the Clippers need, is another guy that can sit on the bench. So it's I don't know. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but it's just getting to be a old subject to have to talk about or to be talking about Harden and all his trade demands all the time.
It's laughable to me. It's laughable to me because in a sense, James Harden is one of those guys that you give him a basketball and he's gonna over dribble, right? He's gonna be this ball dominant guard that wants to jack up a lot of shots and don't want to share the wealth with anybody else because he wants to be the hero. And when he's not the superhero and when things are not going as according to plan, all of a sudden James Harden says, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I don't think I fit here. I don't think I belong in this city. So then he requests a trade, and then he says he wants to go play for another team so he can go there and destroy team chemistry, something he's done everywhere he's been, because it seems like James Harden has been a problem child. Yes, I said it, a problem child everywhere he's been. He cannot get his act together. He acts like an impetuous child, and that's what he's acting like here. How are you going to call a man? How are you going to call Daryl Morey, who looked out for you all these years, a liar? You're going to call a man that actually gave you a bevy of opportunities to excel and to be this superstar player on a team that is playoff worthy, on a team that has a chance to win it all? I mean, the Sixers weren't too far off last season. I mean, let's be honest. Even though they looked like crap in the playoffs, they still reached the playoffs and they still managed to get to the second round. You know, a lot of that, yes, falls on Doc Rivers because we know that he has led teams that can never get over the hump. But James Harden is old news now. James Harden is old news. What has he done in the playoffs? I'll wait. Oh, that's right. He's gone AWOL on his team. There's been many times that this guy has gone completely missing on his team. Maybe that's why the Sixers fell short, because he was nowhere to be found. He was in the lost and found somewhere. You know, everyone was looking for James Harden. It was like reading that book that you read as a kid. Where's Waldo, right? Where's James Harden? We can't find him. You know, and that's what happens every freaking year in the playoffs. The dude never lives up to the hype. You know, and this is the same guy that moaned and complained. How are you going to bemoan that you want to be a max player, but then you decided to take a pay cut? Now, does that make sense? You sound a bit contradictory there. Like you're confusing me. And I talked about this in my video. Like, you're confusing me. You know, I think what it is that he has become a headache. He's a headache, right? He's I don't want to say a nutcase. I don't think that's the right word. I don't think that fits his description. But I will say that he is a diva. And the antics and the crazy talk has really gotten old. It's enough already. It's enough. But I found it very classless and distasteful to disrespect the man that looked out for you.
And I think part of it with Harden is he still thinks he's the same player as he used to be. He's not a max player type anymore. He's not the same guy that he was when he was in Houston, back when he was winning the MVPs and leading the league in the scoring and all that. He's not that guy no more. And like you said, in the playoffs, he disappeared. He disappeared, especially in the last couple of games of that last series. John Suggs said, send him to the Knicks for R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle and call today. Harden would fit right in New York. In New York, in the New York
I don't know if he'll fit in New York. He'll get run out of town real quick. If anything, he's requesting a trade out of there.
And then John Suggs also said to Doc's, he said also said to Doc's defense, though Game 7, them bums gave up. Yeah, that 76ers team did not show up for Game 7. I agree. They did give up. So I'm not going to put that all on Doc because if your players don't play, you know what I mean? I think he tried to have them ready. They didn't respond. But, yeah. He says Harden has PTSD. John Suggs does. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens. But I said all along I didn't think the Sixers would trade him before the season. I figured he would still be with the Sixers till at least the trade deadline, just because I knew they wouldn't going to just give him away. And I think we're getting to a point, and I think that's I guess it ain't a problem, but it's just the public thinks that just because a player demands a trade that the team has to trade him. Or you know what I mean? Just because the player demands a trade. Well, that's not how it works. You sign a contract, you're under contract. The team don't have to trade you. Just like the stuff that's going on with the Indianapolis Colts right now with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he demanded a trade, but just because he demanded a trade doesn't mean that they have to trade him. If they don't trade him, what?
Right.
He don't have no leverage. He doesn't have any leverage. What, you going to sit out a whole season? Well, who's going to want a running back that was hurt the year before, then has set out a whole season? Who's going to want to give you a big contract, and that's what you're after? So you're just putting yourself in a worse situation.
I get that.
I think somebody got.
But Gonzo, you got to realize this, though, my friend. You got to realize one thing, that now these players today, and this isn't all professional sports, they assume so much power that they can almost dictate and force their way to a team that they want to play for.
They think they can, and you can't a little. You can't a little bit.
Look at Anthony Davis. He forced his way out.
Here's what I was going to say. You can. Yeah, but look how long it took, and they didn't have to do that. But what I'm saying is, you can a little bit more in the NBA, but not as much it don't happen as much in the NFL as it does in the NBA.
That's true. That you're right. You're right.
You're starting to see, and you're starting to see that these NFL players. I think that's one of the things these NFL players are running into. They see the NBA players being able to do that. They think they can in NFL, but the way things are set up, it's a little different. And these NFL owners don't give in like as easy as these NBA owners do.
Right.
And with the way you got the CBA set up in NFL, I mean, if Taylor keeps sitting out, and because he's going to get fined, you know what I mean? He can get fined for if he ends up not playing, especially once he's cleared and healthy. I guess he is back at camp, back at training camp now and everything. And said he'll start practicing once he's 100% healthy, but he still wants to trade. But Jim Irsay's not going to trade him. If he's not going to trade him right now, Taylor don't have no leverage because you're under contract. They don't have to trade you, and then if you don't play, it'll hurt the team because you're a good player, but you're the one losing out on that money.
Yeah, I was about to say it's going to hurt.
And plus, there's not going to be a big trade market for him right now. Who's going to trade? Who's going to want to trade? Think about this. Who's going to want to trade for a running back? Okay, right now running backs are having trouble getting the money that they think they deserve, getting a higher contract anyway. But who's going to want to trade for a running back that has a hurt ankle,
Exactly.
He has a hurt ankle, and not only you trade for him, when you trade for him, you're gonna have to re-sign him to a contract then because that's why he wants out of the Colts, because they won't give him a contract now. So who's going to trade and sign a guy that is hurt? He has no leverage right now, and that was my thing with Taylor. Is you picked a bad time to do this because you're coming off that injury, you haven't been playing, and coming off that injury, you had a down year last year because part of it was because of that injury, part of it was because the Colts was just terrible too. But he didn't have a great year last year. Somebody got in just like 2 months or in April, late April, early May, he was all about he was going to play out this season, finish out his rookie contract, and then go from there. And I don't know and then all of a sudden he hired a new agent, and then everything changed. I don't know if that agent got in his ear or if he got if one of his friends or family had gotten his ear, and that's why he fired his other agent. But I personally, I think he's getting some bad advice from somebody that's telling him that, like, hey, we need to he got some bad advice because this wasn't the time for him. He didn't have the leverage. This wasn't the time for him to try to play the leverage card like that and demand a trade. If you'd have played a good season this year, or if he would have had a great season last year and didn't have the injury, I can understand it a little bit more. But when you're coming off a subpar year and you're still hurt, you're not even participating in practices or anything because you're still hurt supposedly with the ankle. I just don't see a team trading for him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see a team trading for him either, especially when you're coming off an injury and we don't really know what your status is going to be like. I wouldn't want to touch you right now, And you mentioned it too. I mean, running backs, they feel very unappreciated, and I understand wholeheartedly why they feel unappreciated. And look, Gonzo, part of the reason is because a running back position is one of the toughest positions on offense. Also, you need a strong running game if you're going to open everything else up on the offense, right? Because that allows you to do play action. It allows you to get more creative with your offense. So having a strong running game and being able to establish a strong running game is very, very crucial to your offense. But running backs have a short lifespan in the NFL, which is why it's the most devalued position in football. And so a lot of these running backs feel like they're being left in the dark, that they don't get the respect that they deserve, that they don't get the recognition like a receiver does, or like a quarterback does, or like a linebacker, or somebody of that nature, So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be in. But Jonathan Taylor, yes, he really doesn't have the leverage. He doesn't have the say so. Obviously, you're not going to get the best production from him if he's unhappy, and if he wants out. You never really get the best production from a player, so that could be a problem. And if he doesn't play, which I don't think he will, because that would hurt his pockets too much. I think he's going to go out there, but I don't think he's going to give it his all.
Well, and the thing is, though, if he comes out and he don't give it his all and don't play well, he's hurting himself, because who's going to sign him to that big contract that he wants next year if he come off a bad year this year? You know what I mean? Point. So if he does play and he don't give full effort, he's hurting himself negotiating with other teams when he's able to.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I mean, so he gotta kind of stay even kill, play his cards right, and stick it out.
What do you think about Colts? We'll stay with the Colts real quick, then we'll move on to some other NFL stuff. But since we was talking about the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, we'll go ahead and go right into the Anthony Richardson. They announced today that he's going to be the starter. I figured he would be the starter. It did kind of surprise me that they announced it this early, right after the first preseason game. I figured they might wait until at least after the next game, a little bit later. But I thought once they drafted him, I figured they were going to start him because, like I was telling you before the show, when in past when the Colts have drafted a quarterback in the top 3 or 4 like that, they usually play him as a rookie. They played Peyton Manning as a rookie. They played Andrew Luck as a rookie, and I figured they were going to play. I figured they were going to play him as a rookie, as Richardson as a rookie as well, because I mean, you drafted him at 4, and the reason I thought they'd play him because is his experience. Yeah, you can send him over there. You have Minshew, you can play Minshew, but how much is he going to learn standing on the sideline, and is he going to learn from Minshew? Where with him not having as much college playing time, I think it works out. I think it's best to go ahead and play him now. Let him make the mistakes he's going to make. Let him start that learning process. And yeah, he might have a little bit of a rough year this year, but I think then you'll see that jump. But what I saw from him in the first preseason game, I was happy with. He threw 1 interception. It was a bad throw. But rookies are
he's gonna go through
veteran quarterbacks throw interceptions, let alone rookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought his pocket presence was good. He dropped a 55-yard dime to Alec Pierce that should have been a touchdown that Pierce dropped. And then he would have had a rushing touchdown that was called back on a holding penalty. So I mean, in his three or four drives he played, I didn't think I thought he looked pretty good, especially for his first NFL action. I know it's preseason, not the same as a regular NFL game, so you can only take it for what it is. But overall, I didn't think he done that bad. So I don't have a problem with them starting him. I was kind of surprised that they went ahead and announced it this early in the preseason, though.
Yeah, and he's gonna have his growing pains. He's a rookie quarterback. He's gonna go through growing pains. That's part of being a young stud in this league. You're gonna make mistakes, and the hope is that you learn from them. But it's not that surprising that he gets the nod, right? Look, the coach drafted Richardson with the number 4 overall pick this offseason. You rest assured that he's going to play, that they're going to see what they have in him. They're going to see what they need to focus on. They're going to look at his flaws. They're going to look at film. They're going to dissect plays. They're going to see what he could do better and where his weaknesses are. They're going to look at his strengths and see what he can bring to this coach team, but he is officially quarterback number 1. He's actually he clearly earned it because he beat out Gardner Minshew and Sam Ehlinger for the starting job. So that says a lot about his productivity and what he has done to impress the Colts early on. He wasn't all that bad. Like you said, I think you mentioned his numbers. He went 7 for 12 with 67 yards and 1 interception. He added 2 carries for 7 yards, so he's very versatile. He's able to, also scramble and escape the pressure and get out of the pocket and all that good stuff. Now, he's not a polished quarterback. He's still unpolished. But that will come in time. This guy is gonna continue to grow. He's gonna improve over time. But you got to be a little bit patient with him because yes, he's gonna have those moments where he makes mistakes and where he looks bad, and there's gonna be people out there saying that hey, he's a bust and all this other talk that he doesn't belong on the Colts team. You're going to hear people saying that he shouldn't have gone this high in the draft. You're going to hear all of that if he makes a number of mistakes, but that's just how it is. That's part of being in the spotlight. That's part of being in the public eye. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's one of the things.
I'm just glad the Colts didn't take Will Levis.
Who?
Levis.
Oh God!
That was who everybody was talking before the draft. They were.
Oh man, take. That guy's in bust territory already. Man,
That's not, I didn't want Levis. If if they were going to take a quarterback once Stroud was gone, I was fine with Richardson. If you were going to take a quarterback that high, now it also would have been all right if they would have decided to maybe trade back and then took a different quarterback. Because I didn't think this year's quarterback class was the greatest. Next year, I
no.
think you have a better quarterback class coming in with Williams and May, and so if they would have went that route, I wouldn't have been mad. But if you was going to go with a quarterback at 4, and I thought they were going to, I I thought Richardson was going to be about the best available. I didn't, and I know Richardson, is he a project? Yes, he has stuff he has to learn because he hasn't played a whole lot of football, but I think he has a lot higher ceiling than what Levis did. And I figured I didn't think Stroud was going to be available at 4, so I was hoping it was going to be Richardson if they were going to take the quarterback because I wasn't sold on Levis at all. I was kind of hoping that if they were going to if they instead of Levis, I would have rather see him move back and got a guy like Hooker or somebody like that later in the first round.
That
You're
dude
muted,
dropped
Judge.
tremendous. He dropped tremendously. Levis, he was waiting for the
Yeah.
second day, wasn't he? He was still waiting in the green room,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. We had fun on draft night because we were doing this.
And he was waiting for a while.
We were doing a draft show with Frankie and them, and they were all giving me crap because about the Colts was going to take Levis, and when the Colts didn't take him, he got up to the Patriots. I said, "Watch, Patriots are going to take Levis, Frankie." we we had a little bit of fun with that, but yeah, he just kept dropping.
Yeah.
And there was rumors that he was going to be the number 2 pick, number 1 or number 2 pick. Some people
No,
thought, and I'm
no,
like, man,
I don't know. I like to give these players a chance to show what they are capable of doing and see if they can showcase their talent and see if there's flashes of maturity and all that stuff. But sometimes you just can't believe in certain players, and it's just like Will Levis is one of them. Like you can't trust him to lead an offense. I'll just say that because I don't think he is skilled enough and capable enough to do so.
and John makes a good point on here. He said, of course you start him because if not, y'all be like the 49ers with Trey Lance, which we're going to talk. We're going to talk about Trey Lance here in a minute as well. But and then he said I would have went after Stetson Bennett from UGA personally. And I'll tell you what, I like Bennett, and I talked about him earlier today. He's one of my sleepers out of these rookie QBs that could, if he now don't get me wrong, I know he's not in a position right now where he's going to start, but being with the Rams, you got a guy in front of you like Stafford that has trouble staying healthy. If Stafford gets hurt and Bennett does get a chance to get in there in the play, I think Stetson Bennett could surprise a lot of people. He seriously got overlooked. I don't know why. To me, he got kind of disrespected coming out of college. I mean, you're talking about a guy that a 2-time national champion, and then a lot of people didn't like him because he was too old. Okay, he's 25 years old. Okay, I understand that. Okay, 25 is a little old for a rookie, but thing is, he still could play 10 or plus more years for you at quarterback. It ain't
Yeah.
like you be drafted and he'd only be there for like 4 or 5 years. We're seeing these guys. We're seeing these guys play till they're 35 years old or later, and he looked good in that first preseason game as well. I think he's a guy that people need to keep an eye on. If he gets a chance to, if he finds himself in a situation where he gets out there on the field and gets to play, which very well could happen, because like I said, Stafford we know can be prone to injuries, and with some of the weapons that you do have there with the Rams, I think Stetson Bennett could end up being a sleeper pick out of this draft that could exceed people's expectations.
Well, they slept on him as a walk on. You know, he's used to being counted out. He's used to people telling him what he's not capable of doing, or what he's not good at, or that he would never be an NFL quarterback. He hears all this stuff. He's heard it throughout his career. This was a walk-on. This was a guy that got overlooked. You know, he got turned down, but he didn't give up. And I think his story is one of the most inspirational stories in football, because look what he did. He led Georgia to a national title. No one thought he could do that, but he did. And yes, you could give a lot of credit. You could give credit to the defense. Sure. I'm not discrediting the defense. The defense, of course, did its part, because that's what the Georgia Bulldogs are built on, right? Defense. They're a defensive-oriented team because of who's their coach, Kirby Smart, a defensive specialist. So, yes, defense did take some of the pressure off of Stetson Bennett, but at the same time, Stetson Bennett made some big plays in that national championship game, and that is one of the sweetest stories that we will talk about for many years to come. I remember writing about the game that night. You know, so yes, I'm with you. I think Stetson Bennett is in the right territory, and I think you're right. He can really be something to watch.
And he led him to back-to-back national championships.
Yeah. So, I think you're right.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. They completely overlooked him. And those are the ones that usually make the most noise. Those are the ones that usually become top-tier quarterbacks at the next level. They transform into this elite quarterback that no one thought they could be. And everyone is going, ooh, we didn't think he would be this good.
Yep. John brought up Trey Lance. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do you think the 49ers are going to end up doing with Lance?
I talked about him today too. I think it was a mistake. I think this could go down as one of the worst trades in the draft in the history of the NFL. I'll just put it that way. This guy, Trey Lance is looking more and more like a bust. And I know it's only preseason. People are freaking out. People are going nuts. But he looks bad. He looks terrible. And when you look at him, he's not even a rookie. It's his third year. And when you look at him, right, he looks uncomfortable. He looks rattled. He looks confused. And I think another thing is he's lacking confidence. He's lacking confidence in his own abilities, because we know there is obviously something there for him to get drafted third in the 2021 NFL draft. But I think at the end of the day, this is going to be Brock Purdy's job, and it should be his job. Look what he did last season. Look what he did last season in the playoffs. He had a breakout year. He had a breakout postseason run.
Well, not just postseason run. I mean, he had a breakout season from the time he got in until he got that injury.
And Brock Purdy, to me, is the complete opposite of Trey Lance. He's unfazed. He's cool. He's calm. He's collect. You know, he doesn't let the pressure get to him. In fact, he plays great under pressure. And when I watched him last season, Brock Purdy, to me, he looked like a 10-year vet out there. He looked like a quarterback that had been doing it for a very long time. So I mean, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm going with Brock Purdy, and I think he's going to get benched in favor. I think Trey Lance is going to get benched in favor of.
Well, Shanahan has already came out and said that Purdy's their starter. Purdy's going to be their starter.
He needs to be
Lance is battling Darnold for the backup job is what's going to go on there.
And Sam Darnold was a third pick.
And like John Suggs said, when you battle Darnold for QB2, says a lot. I think with Lance, for one, he was severely overdrafted. He should have never been drafted number 3.
Yeah, he was drafted too high.
Hadn't played much football. He sat out a year because of the COVID situation. And hey, I'm not holding that against him, but I mean, you lose experience. I hadn't played a lot of college football. They overdraft him. He gets in there, and then he gets last year. Didn't look comfortable when they decided he was going to be the starter last year. Got hurt. But yeah, Purdy's going to be their starter. I think this was brought up. Actually, Pac-Man Jones talked about this on Pat McAfee show earlier today. And when he said it, it made a lot of sense. He said he thinks that, and the 49ers aren't going to do it, but they should. They should play Lance like the whole preseason game. Play him for 3-4 quarters. Try and you hope that he plays a little bit better than what he's been playing, and then maybe try to get his value up a little bit so for a trade or something. Because right now, nobody is going to want to trade for him. So you're kind of in that situation. So and what he needs some playing time and some experience. But yeah, they got Purdy, that he's going to be their starter. I think Darnold's going to be their backup. I think Darnold's going to beat Lance out for the backup job. And Darnold's ain't like Darnold's a world beater or anything. We've seen
and Trey Lance moved to the third string. Yep. Trey Lance moved to the third. That says a lot right there. That says a lot about.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think he'll either be the third string or he'll get traded. I think Darnold. Yeah. I think Sam Darnold will beat him out for the backup job.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't think Trey Lance is ready, and I don't think he'll ever be ready. I mean, I know that sounds a bit harsh for a lot of people, but I just don't think he's cut out for the NFL. I just don't think if you can't succeed in a quarterback-friendly system, then where else can you?
Oh, yeah.
You're in a quarterback-friendly. You should be in a quarterback-friendly situation. You should be taking advantage of this. And that says a lot if it's a disadvantage for you.
Well, you're not going to get in a much better situation than San Francisco with the weapons they have and the offensive mind they have at coach with Shanahan, and then you got McCaffrey and Samuel and Kittle and Mitchell. I mean, you're just loaded with weapons where, yeah, there's if you can't succeed there, chances are you're probably not going to succeed at many other places.
Right.
I mean, look how many different quarterbacks we've seen Shanahan be able to plug into that offense and have some success.
That's what I'm saying. He's plugged in quite a bit, and they have all flourished.
And Lance hasn't been one of them.
Nope. Not at all.
Well, Mel, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on tonight?
No, I you know what? I think this was a great show. I'm glad to be back doing this show with you, Gonzo. It's been a minute. And we're gonna keep the train moving. We're gonna keep doing this show because, like I told you before, you and I have great chemistry, and this show has been a blast. It's been enjoyable, and our viewers have been awesome as well.
We'll be back on Thursday. We'll be live every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern. What's that? 8 o'clock your time?
Yeah, 8 o'clock my time.
Are you Pacific time?
Yep.
Okay. So 8 o'clock
You're on the West
Pacific,
Coast,
11 Eastern. But no, you have any final thoughts or anything before we get out of here? Then,
man, I just want to say again, man, it was a blast to be back on with you. Let's keep grinding. Let's keep pushing out content, and let's make our viewers happy.
Sounds good to me. Please hit that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room and at the Sports Judge. Also, like and follow on Facebook at the Sports Judge, at Gonzo Sports Room, and at the ASAP All Sports All Plays Network. I know all of us would greatly appreciate it. Please like, share, and comment. We'd also greatly appreciate that. We hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Like I said, this has been Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk. We'll be back on Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern, with another episode. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their night, and we will see you guys on Thursday.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.